Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. So today we're going to take a look at this 2022 Ford Mustang GT Coupe. Huge shout out to Mooresville Ford for providing this muscle car for me today. Check out their website, that link is down in the description. The GT that you see behind me is finished off in shadow black with an MSRP just shy of $40,000. And to start off today's review, let's take a look at what powers this Ford Mustang. Underneath the hood is the naturally aspirated 5-liter V8. This model is paired with the 6-speed manual transmission, and it pumps out 450 horsepower, which is 10 horsepower less than the 2021 year model. It pumps out 420 pound-feet of torque. That power sent to the rear wheels. This weighs in right around 3,800 pounds. It'll do 0 to 60 in the low 4-second range with a top speed of 155 miles an hour, and it has a fuel capacity of 16 gallons. You'll expect to see around 15 miles per gallon in the city and 24 out on the highway. This has a wheelbase of 107.1 inches. Its overall length is 188.5. It has a width of 75.4 and a height of 54.3 inches. As we make our way to the exterior styling now for this Ford Mustang, the model that you see in front of me is pretty much a base trim level for the GT, but it still retains a very nice look. And we're gonna start up front, where you'll see the Pony logo front and center, along with the narrow grille. There's plenty of cutouts in it though, to provide a lot of cooling to that V8 engine, along with all the cutouts down in the lower section. And then this even has a set of LED headlights, LED DRLs, and LED fog lights and turn signals. I love the housing for the headlights. It's very, very narrow, and you can see all the bodywork surrounding them, giving them more of a sunken in design. And it has a cool look with that iconic DRL right on the inside. And then the fog lights and the turn signals have a great design to them too. There's even a small cutout with some more vents just underneath the turn signals to give it some more airflow. And I love all the lines for the front end, very iconic of course for the Mustang. Along with the front splitter, it is finished off in plastic, but it does add a lot more contour lines to the lower section. And then for this hood, there's 2 lines going off of these functional trim pieces. So these are functional heat extraction vents for this Ford Mustang, and with the lines that flow their way to the windshield, definitely ties in nicely with this front end. And as we work our way to the side, this has a set of 18-inch wheels with the 2-tone design. There's the 5-spoke design to them too. I think it's a really nice wheel for this base Mustang. Now this has 4-piston calipers up front with single pistons in the rear. 5.0 badge is just behind that. This also has body-colored side mirrors. There's no sunroof for this model. There's no turn signals for the side mirrors either. They are manual folding. And that same plastic trim works its way to the lower side skirt, giving it a cool look. And then with the fastback design, has a nice rake meeting its way to the rear end very nicely, where this model does have a small trunk-mounted wing, finished off in body-colored. This still retains a backup camera. GT badge is right in the middle. And then this has the sequential design for the 3D taillights and the turn signals, which just gives it a cool look. The reverse light is right in the middle of the diffuser, and then this has the quad tip dual exhaust, which will start up here in just a little bit. So there's an exterior look for this base Mustang GT. Let's work our way to the trunk space now. So you can double tap the button on the key fob. However, it's very practical to have a button just above the license plate. So I can push on that and open this up the rest of the way, where you'll see there is plenty of room, making this a practical daily driver. You can see I have some items in here at the moment. You can put in some items sideways if you need to, which is of course very helpful to have. And then if I lift up the floor, this does have a spare tire. You can use this for additional storage space if you need to. And then the back seats also fold down. You have a practical sports car where you can fit in a lot of items, which is nice to see. And then for this trunk lid, there's no grab handle. You can just grab on the upper lip though and easily close that trunk. Now, as we work our way to the interior, of course, you can use the door handle to lock and unlock this Mustang. And then on the door panel for a base GT, this has a nice design to it. There's brushed aluminum on the release handle. It's on the cover for the grab handle. There's the window controls, side mirror adjustments, lock and unlock, and then one of the 6 speakers and a little bit of storage space tucked up underneath. Now let's make our way to the back seats for this Mustang. I already have the front seat backrest move forwards, and at 5'10", I can make my way into the back. Now you're not buying a Mustang for a full 4-seater vehicle, but this is practical if I had to be back here. On the passenger side, you can see with the seat all the way back, there's pretty much no legroom, but you can adjust that as needed. and then my head is up against the headliner. So like I just said, you're not buying this for a full 4-seater, but if I had to ride in this in the back for going around town or something like that, I could fit in the back and make it work. So it's nice to have that additional practicality, or you can use this for extra interior storage. Now there's no other amenities for your backseat passengers. You have an armrest, a little bit of visibility. That pillar is pretty thin, so you could see out if you need to. And that's pretty much it. There is one pocket behind the passenger seat where you could store some items. And then to move the backrest into its normal position, they are manual adjusting. However, it's automatic to slide the seat forwards and backwards. And as you can tell, these are cloth seats with really nice stitching. Mustang is also right in the middle. There's a cool design running down the insert too. And then Mustang is also down on the door sill. But let's go ahead and hop into the front seats, where it's a lot easier. Of course, the door sill is very low, so that definitely helps. And then looking at the steering wheel now, you'll see it's completely covered in solid black leather. There's more of those brush trim accents on each side. Over on this right side, you can use all of these for the center gauge cluster, which we'll come back to. There's Bluetooth and voice commands just underneath that. Over on this left side, there's volume and tuning, and then cruise control just underneath that. So you have some nice luxuries for this manual Mustang. But with my foot on the brake and the clutch, let's fire this up. That button is down on this right side, and we can bring this back to life. And then coming back to this gauge cluster, over on the left side is the tach and the engine temperature. On the right side is the miles per hour and the fuel gauge. And right in the middle, you can go through a lot more information. So currently it's showing your distance until empty. You can look at your miles per hour, even the TPMS. And then there's a lot of vitals here that you can monitor, just depending on what you'd like to see. If I scroll over to the left now, you can go into the gauge mode, which is what we just saw. You can look at trip and fuel, even the track apps. So you can go into this, look at your acceleration timer, your brake performance, so I can pull that up. Look at your 60 to 0, 100 to 0. This even has line lock, so you can go into this and initiate that for a base Mustang. Pretty cool to see that. There's also a lap timer and launch control, so you can activate launch control. You can even set what RPM you'd like this to launch at. So if you want to use this for a track car, you have those, which is pretty awesome to see. If we go back now, there's the driver assistance, so you can look at all this standard safety features for this base Mustang. Pretty awesome to have all of that, so you can use this as a daily driver. And then there's different settings you can go into under vehicle, monitor all of this, your lights, wipers, things like that. You have my key, even the display setup, which you can pull up what you'd like to see the most. So it's actually pretty configurable. It is a pretty small screen, but it gives you everything that you need, which is awesome to have. And I love the separation for the tach and the miles per hour. Gives it more of a cool design for this Mustang. Now over on the left side is all the headlight and fog light adjustments, along with dimmer switches for the gauges. There's also one air vent just above that, and some more of that brush trim surrounding the 3 air vents right in the middle. It makes its way to the passenger side, where you'll also notice the Mustang badge. And then right in the middle, we do have the smaller screen. On this left side, there's shortcuts to radio and media. There's even the phone, so when you have your phone paired to the system, you can quickly get to it. On this lower left, there's some mobile apps that you can monitor. On the upper right, you can go through some of the audio adjustments. You can even shut this screen completely off. If you're racing this, you don't want to have that on, you can do that. You can pull up the clock settings. There's some other settings to go into. And then on this right side, this is for the radio station. So you can quickly get to a radio station. When you have it to that setting, you can easily have presets and quickly get to all of your music. So it's very simple. You do have a backup camera located within that screen. So jumping to the manual shifter, if I pull this up and go all the way over to the left, you'll see the backup camera up here with the guidelines, so that's definitely very helpful to have in this vehicle. And then we have the 6 speeds for the rest of that manual. Now underneath that screen, volume and power for the radios on the left side, tuning is on the right side. There's a few more adjustments in the middle that you can go through for that screen with play and pause and tuning. And then underneath that, these are all the climate adjustments. This is a single zone, so we have fan speed on this left side, temperatures on the right side, you have the power, and where you'd like the air to go right in the middle, very easily laid out. And then right next to the engine start stop button is the hazards along with traction control. And if I push on the steering wheel button, there's actually 3 different settings. There's comfort, normal, and sport. So it just depends on how you'd like the steering feel for this Mustang. Underneath that, there's a 12 volt and a USB. We have the leather shift boot for that 6-speed manual. There are 2 cup holders on the right side of that, along with the manual parking brake. And then right in the middle is the leather wrapped armrest. There's actually a good amount of space along with some auxiliaries. So you can charge electronics. There's even a cutout where you can place those wires. And then on the passenger side is the glove box. Has an ample amount of room for all of that information. And we'll take one last look at this interior. You can get another look at Mustang right in the middle of the cloth seats. There's the dome lights up top, and then of course the rear view mirror. All right. So now that we're behind the wheel of this 2022 Ford Mustang GT, it's kind of surprising to see for a 2022 year model, you can still get just a basic car. If you're not into all the technology, which I think is great to have, especially like with the larger screen and things like that, if that's not something you're into, you just want probably a track car. You want to buy this because you're going to do a lot of mods, or maybe you're just not into all of that tech. I think it's pretty awesome that Ford still offers a model where you can just get into it and drive. We have the 6-speed manual. The auto rev matching is currently on, which you can shut off if you'd like to. But if you just want to get in this and drive, it's just like any other Mustang, and I've been able to drive a lot of Mustangs. So I like that this model is kind of more laid back in a sense, and it's going to give you a nice, comfortable ride. So if you're looking for a muscle car, you want that V8 engine, but you don't want to spend money on pretty much anything else, you want to put those towards modifications, this is a good platform to go with. The 5-liter V8 is going to give you a lot of potential horsepower that you can get out of it. You have the line lock. You're already ready to take this to the drag strip and have some fun with it. We're going to try to get on some back roads here in just a little, but we'll slow down and give it another acceleration from second gear. Listen to that V8 roar. And I'm not doing anything too crazy today. I've been in a lot of Mustangs where I know they can be quick cars. You have a lot of power going to those rear wheels. But for this GT, 450 horsepower now for the 2022 year model. It's very interesting to see that. The 2021 Ford Mustang GT had 460 horsepower. So why do you think, maybe regulations or something, they had to essentially detune this 5-liter V8? Now obviously you can tune it, you can do stuff to get that horsepower back, but it's very interesting to see Ford deduct some horsepower. We'll give it another acceleration. It definitely gets up and moves. Now I have shut off the auto rev matching because I do prefer to do that myself, and I like how the pedal placement is. I can touch the brake and the gas there, and obviously I have the clutch, so it's very easy to rev match downshifts in this. So if you're taking this on some spirited driving events, you can definitely do that. But as far as just driving this now as a regular daily driving vehicle, because if you're buying the Ford Mustang, this is primarily maybe a fun sports car to have as a second car, but if it's your only car, it's pretty practical. Back seats are a little bit small as you saw, but it gives you a lot more interior space, and it gives you better visibility too, making the car just a little bit longer on the interior, where we have those back windows where you can see over both shoulders. You really don't have any blind spots for this car. And as far as driving it, it's very comfortable. I'm going to keep the steering wheel in sport mode here. As we come up to a turn, we can rev match these downshifts. And you can feel the steering wheel tighten up a little bit for sport mode. So it's nice that you have the option to do that. And now as we switch over to the POV angle for this Mustang, you can see what it's like to be behind the wheel. As we come up to a turn, on the brakes, down to second. Easy on that throttle with all that power going to the rear wheels. This is a fun car to drive. And hopefully you can tell it's pretty quiet. It's not a loud car. You mainly hear the exhaust. There's really no wind noise, road noise. It's a pretty solid sports car. And it's got a good amount of power to it. Very, very healthy for this base level, or base trim level. And I still have the steering in the sport setting. If I dial it back to normal or comfort, you can actually
you can actually feel a little bit of a difference. I don't think it's too crazy. Now, if I was going left and right in some twisties, I'd probably feel a little bit more. Only so much I can do on the roads for today. But this is a nice sub $40,000 Ford Mustang that you can jump into. If you just want a basic sports car, you want to have fun, especially being able to get the 6-speed manual. And we'll do one last acceleration for today's video. But I think that's going to wrap it up for this walk around review and test drive, getting behind the wheel of this 2022 Ford Mustang GT Coupe. Once again, huge shout out to Mooresville Ford for providing this American muscle car for me today. Check out their website. That link is down in the description. If you enjoyed today's video, give it a huge thumbs up. Consider smashing that subscribe button so you don't miss out on our daily uploads. I will see you all in the next video.